Hi, this is a guide on how to beat up Bullet. I tried to make the guide as compact as possible, so let's get right into it. First, I want to show you how to deal with her drive. Bullet gets high-low mix-up from her drive, with 6D being the high and 2D being the low. Realistically, you're not going to be able to react to this mix-up, but even if you could, on block she's +4 as long as she has heat. An easy way to deal with the mix-up is to react to Bullet's drive by jumping out. However, 6D can still catch a jump out attempt, so to be safe, try to super jump. Another easy option is to just overdrive and punish. Anti-airing Bullet's drive is another good option. 6D and 2B both straight up lose to anti-airing, while 5D clashes in a worst case. Her 5D is meant to catch airborne opponents and gives a jump cancel if the opponent blocks it in the air. If you block Bullet's 5D in the air, she basically gets a jump in attack on you. This is pretty easy to deal with, the only option she really has is to jump or air dash at you, so all you have to do is be ready to anti-air. While 5D tracks in the air and is good when blocked in the air, it's like -5 when blocked on the ground, so it's terrible if blocked there. On instant block, you even get a jab punish. Next up I cover air drive, specifically jump D, which is definitely her strongest tool by far. Jump D is pretty wacky. Depending on how high you block it and at what angle you block it, different things can happen. Also, for a lot of the cast, anti-airing it is not an effective strategy, because they will either clash with the move or won't have the reach to hit it out of the air. She can also just use jump D to delay a fall, making her jump ins a lot harder to anti-air. If you block jump D on the ground, it's generally good to assume that Bullet is plus or has the advantage. If you instant block a jump D that was done low enough to the ground, it should be your turn. A good way of dealing with jump D is by contesting Bullet in the air, either by using an air grab or any other button that hits above your character. A good panic option is to barrier jump against jump D, because the pushback against barrier blocking will be so high that none of Bullet's normals will be long enough to start pressure. Next, let's look at her more basic pressure options. Once you show the Bullet player that you know how to punish her drive, her block stings will look something like this. Probably the most important button to look out for in her pressure is 5B. It allows her to jump cancel or dash cancel once she has heat. Both options are reactable, but they're still dangerous because they set up her command grab, which leads to high damage if she has heat. Another thing that is frequently used by Bullet players is pressure resetting after her 5C into 2A again. Bullet is -1 after using 5C, so you can mash to contest the pressure reset attempt. Mashing is incredibly risky though, because Bullet gets stupid damage of counter hits, even if they're non-fatal counter hits. A safer option is just trying to jump out, because even if you get hit, you're not gonna get counter hit. Also, Bullet is pretty shitty at chasing people in the air, so you're mostly safe. Another way to just destroy Bullet's pressure is by instant blocking and then using a reversal. This works because Bullet has very little true block strings. Those are reserved for high tier zoners or set play characters. They definitely need that. If you have a decent DP, you can also instant block the last hit of 2C and then reversal a flinch shooter projectile. If Bullet decides to charge flinch shooter for some reason, you can also just jump over it to punish her. Barrier blocking, and especially instant barrier blocking, is incredibly effective against Bullet. This is because her buttons are stubby and she also gets less momentum from microdashing due to a crappy step dash. Bullet standing over it is pretty bad as well. It's slow, has an obvious animation and very little range. If you barrier block, she can't really use more than 1 2A before going into overhead, or will start whiffing. Her B buttons can gatling into 6A, but usually their pushback will cause Bullet 6A to whiff. So if you pass through A buttons, you don't have to worry about high-low mix-up anymore, unless she pressure resets or uses her drive, but you should already know how to deal with drive. Next up I'll show you how to deal with a command grab RPS. Bullet gets pretty crazy damage with a command grab, but she needs 4 conditions to be fulfilled before she can use her command grab effectively. This strongly telegraphs when Bullet is going to attempt the 720 RPS. She needs to be in close range with 50 meter, heat 2, and enough time to buffer a 720 input. She tried to enforce a 50-50 by using her 720 or her air unblockable. It's not a real 50-50 though, you can just backdash or use a reversal, and some characters can just super jump out. Bullet's tools not being consistently able to do what they're designed to do is kind of the theme of the character. Lastly, let's talk about neutral. This shouldn't be where most of you struggle anyway, because Bullet's neutral is pretty terrible. First, it's good to remember that Bullet's reward mid-screen without heat is atrocious. So if you want to take risks against her, this is the best time to do it. If you play too passively, she will just run away to heat up. I suggest staying outside of her effective threat range, but always staying close enough to punish her heat up attempts or her projectile. Most characters in the cast can easily outrange a Bullet, so this shouldn't be too hard. However, her 2B is an excellent counterpoke to her, so don't be too predictable with your ground approaches. Next up, how to deal with her drive in neutral. Bullet's 5D works decently for punishing people that are maneuvering in the air while using committal buttons, although it can randomly whiff. Try to make your air movement more safe while you're in range of 5D, or just run at her on the ground and hit her in the face until she stops doing it. Even slower characters in the cast can run from max 5D range and just hit her in the face. Also, 5D doesn't lock onto your character's hurt boxes, it locks onto your character's center, making its range deceptively smaller than the ring would indicate. Lastly, let's look at how to deal with Bullet's anti-air. Bullet's anti-air is a 6B input, making it prone to getting crossed up. It also has poor horizontal range, so long air to ground buttons cannot space it. It has, however, amazing reward on hit, especially on counter hit, and has really good frame data and very good vertical range. If you use the knowledge from the video to shut down her gimmicks and basic game plan, Bullet will mostly have to rely on punishing your mistakes to win. Also, someone else go make a video like this, I don't want to actually have to lab to figure out how to play against the character. Alternatively, go tell Mori to put my AI into BlazBlue, so that I can play against AI clones of you fucks.